Supergirl was raised on a chunk of a...
James Gunn, you're not directing Supergirl. This dude is.
Easily inhabited this character in the best way. I couldn't imagine anybody else in this role.
Why do they always pick the most effeminate-sounding men to direct chick movies?
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a discussion today regarding Millie Alcock, probably the greatest adult movie star porn name I've ever heard. Well, then again, if you called her Millie Alcock, then, you know. Anyway, you might have seen the trending article from Variety this week. And let's just hold the horses for a second, because Variety took an article from Vanity Fair, which is paywalled, by the way, but however, I managed to get access to the article without paying for anything, and I'll screenshot that and upload it here for your benefit and well-being. And speaking of well-being, how are you doing today? You feeling sad? You feeling blue? Then you came to the right place.
That's it for this programme and for this series. Why don't you come to England, though, this summer, because all the birds have got great tits. Look at this.
But as you know, Millie Alcock has been making the rounds because the Supergirl official trailer, maybe trailer 2.0, dropped, and it was a resounding sigh of people either like it, other people like me are just still in two minds about it. But let's get into this video today, folks, and we're going to break down, I'm going to give you my opinion about a few things about Hollywood and image. Again, my take might not be the best one you ever hear, but I had the benefit of growing up in Gen X, so give me some credit. I think I know what I'm talking about half the time, and maybe 70% of the rest of the time, but you know what I mean, folks, so let's go for it. Oh, here we go. Supergirl star Millie Alcock says, I really can't stop the inevitable backlash and understands why Scorsese and Ridley Scott criticized superhero movies. Not every film is for everyone, by Zach Sharf, whoever she is. But look, this whole thing about Martin Scorsese, why they've quoted that at the top there, because if you look into the deeper recesses of Reddit, they say that quote's been taken out of context because Scorsese wasn't shitting on the superhero genre, he likened them to theme rides. But of course, it does depend what theme rides he's talking about. So if the theme ride in question is a big bunch of shite, then I guess what he means very subtly and in hushed circles, that the superhero genre is shite, and it has become shite. It's not what it used to be. I'm going to show you Ridley Scott's quote in a minute. It's pretty funny. Now look, when I see this image of Millie as Supergirl, she, from an image point of view, from the character point of view, Kara Zor-El is very attractive. But as modern day Hollywood no doubt dictates to us, attractiveness is in the eye of the beholder. Now, whether you think that Millie Alcock is a candidate for Down syndromes, don't shout at me. This is the running joke that people were going with on her released profile pictures when she was reading Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King. Yet another comic book red flag.
Fans and content creators tweak the actress's face for clickbait. Who owns your image, Millie Alcock?
Sasha Calle, I would have liked to have seen her return as Supergirl after her very impressive debut in The Flash. She didn't have a chance to shine, which is such a shame. The only criticism I said about her characterization of Supergirl, why do they give a very attractive Latin woman, Latina, a short haircut? Because she looks really beautiful with her shoulder length tumbling curls of Latina queena hair. Millie Alcock told Vanity Fair in a new interview that she's aware that she's going to face backlash because wait for it, folks, she is headlining a film as a female character when Millie herself is biologically female, even though she does go by the she, her pronouns, allegedly. So again, now this is a quote that really did piss people off actually. We have become very comfortable having this weird ownership of women's bodies. I can't really stop them. I can only be myself. Now, Millie love, nobody is watching Supergirl for your body. Albeit you've got a pretty nice body in his poster. And this, by the way, folks, is the official poster for Supergirl. Admittedly, it's not bad. It looks good. But I gotta question Millie's commitment to this role. You'll understand why when I get into this article. But I'll come back to this picture at the end because to be honest, it's not that terrible actually. It's not that bad as they said in the first Ted movie when they talk about Boston Girls. And this whole thing about the ownership of your body, well of course Millie, it's your body, you own it. But then it's our right as the payer per views to watch said body on the big screen doing what it does best. Again, if you're one of these actresses who disrobes, because we don't get that these days in Hollywood, do we? Then maybe that phrase would have a different type of credence to it. Now, she's 25 years old, which again, I did not know. But again, Variety have spun this article from a full in-depth paywalled interview on Vanity Fair, where they just take it out of context ever so slightly to make Millie Alcock sound like she's attacking the chuds. Now, in some ways, I think she kind of is, because this is a preemptive strike about what people are going to say about Supergirl when the preview screenings start coming out. And by the way, it depends what you believe about the preview screenings. Some people say it's a great film. Other people say that Krem, the baddie, played by Matthew Schnoartz or Schnertz, whatever that guy's effing surname is. By the way, he's in a bit of bother at the moment, isn't he? Because isn't he serving time in a Belgian jail for speeding on his motorcycle? Get your motor running. So I don't know if he'll be out in time for the promotion of the movie. Plus, they've had to switcheroo 3 different musical composers, and they've settled on some chick who I've never heard of, because again, you can't have a man composing a theme tune for a female superhero. Yet Junkie XL did that for Wonder Woman in BVS, so I don't understand what the difference is, bro, he says, stumbling and stuttering there. Again, I didn't know who Millie Alcock was. Apparently she appeared in a couple of episodes of House of the Dragon, a series I could not be bothered to watch and will never watch. And then shortly after that, she appeared with Julianne Moore in Netflix's Sirens, which again, I heard of, but I've never actually even watched in my life. Now, she says that when these 2 gigs were over for her, and I'm going to quote what Millie says here, "I was so shit scared that my life was over at 22. And of course, it wasn't, Alcock said about the career anxiety that settled in and made the chance to audition for Supergirl all the more favourable. I kind of bullied myself into it. I reckon that her agent said she would be a good fit for James Gunn's Supergirl. That could be the other way round. And maybe she knew she was going to get the audition. I do blame James Gunn, by the way, for casting Miss Alcock. I actually do, and I'll get back to that point at the end. Now, the Vanity Fair article, which I'm going to cover in some depth in a minute, Ridley Scott, what he thinks about superhero movies. Boring as shit. They aren't any fucking good. And Alcock doesn't mind, because she thinks Scorsese and Scott are two effing phenomenally gifted filmmakers who have given us great films over the years and rears, and she's not half wrong, I'll tell you that much. Vanity Fair, that likes to be fair to a rising new star like Millie Alcock, have a look at this photograph. What does it remind you of? Like, it's been using Instagram filters, different layers, it can't mask her unusually large chin. Is trying to make her look something that she isn't. You know, every time I see Millie in a frame from the Supergirl trailer, she looks uncomfortable. Like in the outfit, the type of genre. If she was keen to avoid large tentpole franchises, why then did James Gunn convince her she was the right choice to play Kara Zor-El? At this stage, Mr. Gunn's insufferable wife, Jennifer Holland, no relation to Tom, would have been a better fit. Yeah, I know, you can say it's nepotism. The wife of Mrs. James Gunn is now the husband playing the big husband in the big AAA movie. I know, right? That would have been giving us a gaggle of laughs all day long. So again, when I look at these very curated, carefully manicured photographs, I've got to think this is the whole point about women supposedly not owning their bodies because everybody else does. Again, Kate Bush, if you don't know her story, a record company published a photo of hers, which I've used on my channel before, where clearly it's been a very cold day in the Antarctic. And after Bush saw that, she took ownership of her image to make sure it was pushed in a more carefully controlled direction. And good for Miss Bush. And look, I don't hold the record company to blame because sexy sells, and I tell you what, when they released those images, her record sales went through the roof. So Miss Bush, and a great name again, should be very proud of that aspect. But that's me as a chauvinistic male speaking, so again, my opinions on that will probably just not go anywhere. For her next movies, Alcock has selected Thumb, a comedy about a severed digit featuring Sofia Vergara and Kate McKinnon. And Hot Mother, about a mother, Toni Collette, a fellow Aussie, and daughter Alcock, who get trapped in a sauna at a remote wellness spa. That sounds like a horror movie. After that, and this is where it kind of gets a little bit dicey, folks, Alcock says, I want to work with a bunch of really cool young women. Alcock says Rachel Sennott is effing fab. She's pioneering the Gen Z voice at the moment. Oh, God. I'm excited to see how this generation reflects our insidious day-to-day relationship with the internet and parasocial relationships. Do you mean the fans, Miss Alcock? The same fans that might find your portrayal of Kara Zor-El a bit divisive, and others who will just cheer for you from the parade going by. I know that made no sense, that last sentence, because I just do everything off the cuff of my head, on the crest of a wave, like the Silver Surfer. Again, the one thing that really got on my nerves about the trailer, why is it centered around James Gunn's fucking rescue dog? I don't give a shit about Crypto the super dog. Who cares? Let the little bastard die. Oh my God, please. Like, have the plot centered around this girl, this other girl that Super Baby's helping out, and forget about Crypto, or just look at cryptocurrency as a side mission in the movie. That's not going to happen. And it's funny that a lot of people who reacted to this trailer, including myself, thought that Jason Momoa as Lobo was easily the best thing about it. It wouldn't surprise me in the run-up to the film's release on the 26th of June that they shoot extra scenes with Lobo. Who knows, because that might be the way to go. That was a bit of unintentional rhyming again. But James Gunn, this is not the same doofus from the early years where he gave us PG porn.
Please, call me Amber.
Well, I tell you what, Amy. If you were my wife, I'd never roll over on you. Unless, of course, you wanted me to.
Is that so?
The only thing he's short of being is being Ozempic, because until that day comes, he's going to be in his middle-aged farty-warty. He walks around with a wife who's 15 years his junior, or senior in this case, and makes terrible things like Peacemaker Season 2.
I haven't seen a single person of color ever since I've been here.
No way.
A Supergirl movie that he's constantly interfered with, disallowing the fact that Craig Gillespie, the actual director of the movie, his own vision and autonomy. But on that one, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts and what are your feelings? I know some of you out there who subscribe to my channel find the whole Supergirl movie very divided. You're not sure, you're on the fence. Millie Alcock is a very bizarre left field choice because it's pushing against what attractiveness should be like in Hollywood in the conventional sense. And on that one, folks, if you were me and if I were you, I'll catch you catching me for the return of the next video.
One about resilience. You can be your own hero.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Dream of me. I'll make your dreams come true. Everything's possible with me.